Well, good morning, folks. Welcome to the Rangers Reviews morning briefing on Monday, the 11th of October. Jonny, we're halfway through the international break, and it was actually quite a good international weekend in many ways. But we're gonna bring you up to speed with everything Rangers related from it. How was your weekend first, Jonny?
Yeah, good. Yeah, as you say, the Scotland game was pretty compelling and interesting, actually, and obviously a terrific result secured in the last minute by Scott McTominay's goal. We had Ali McCoist's shrieking brilliance on co-coms, which was pretty much unmatched, I think, in terms of other games. So he certainly added to the drama. And Nathan Patterson, the only Rangers player involved, but I thought despite a pretty poor first half, he came into his game in the second and was pretty pivotal, actually, to Scotland's attacking threat. But we'll go into more detail.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, why don't we start with Scotland? As you say, Nathan Patterson was the sole Ranger involved. He had a difficult first half, but I thought obviously Gilmore kind of stole the show, but Patterson as well. To come and have such a strong second half against a difficult opponent. Obviously, this is an opponent who Scotland have played plenty of times, but who Scotland have famously struggled to create against as well. I thought there was two things that stood out to me for Patterson. I thought the way he went past players one-on-one, and he does that little. He's kind of developed this fake cross, hasn't he, where he cuts inside, which seems to be another kind of weapon to his arsenal, if you will. But also just his link-up play to get in behind on that far side. It's still at 19, so impressive for Nathan Patterson. Every good performance is a good headache for Gerrard, but you know, it still creeps along that perhaps he should be playing a little bit more. What do you make of it, Jonny?
Yeah, I agree with you. And I actually thought the first half, Joshua. Sorry, I don't know who Nathan is. Nathan is who we're talking about. It's one of those mornings already. I actually thought Nathan wasn't terrific in the first half to the extent that I thought probably the worst performance I've actually seen from him.
Yeah,
he was giving the ball away a lot. I think he made a mistake in the build-up to the first goal where he should have launched the ball out of play, and he tried to go past his man, couldn't get past his man. Israel recovered the ball high up the pitch. It wasn't his fault, the goal, and there was a lot of people saying that on Twitter, but you know, there was several phases of play that took place after that could have, where the goal could have been stopped. So I'm not having that. However, it was a mistake. He should have launched it up the pitch at that point, but you know, he's trying to play football. That's how he's been brought up through the system at Rangers, and that's what would happen at Rangers. He'd be expected to pass the ball out in that situation. Of course, there's always a time and a place, and you have to. It's a risk-reward ratio that you have to measure as a footballer in these situations. And I think he got that one slightly wrong. But in the second half, Josh, he was just absolutely pivotal. And I've been saying this over and over again on Twitter, and there's a real split. Non-Rangers fans are just really not having Nathan Patterson. It seems like they kind of feel that he's not playing, he's not had enough games, they don't really see it, and I think that first half didn't really help matters. For us who watch Rangers, we just find this unfathomable. So this is a really strange mix. You know, I had a guy telling me, Partick Thistle fan, telling me that he should be in the squad because he's not playing enough.
These people don't watch football. I'm convinced, because you can't have a justified that being a justified opinion. You can't argue it. You just can't.
What can you say, really, mate? You know, Stephen O'Donnell is a good SPFL player, and I really get frustrated because it's like people want us. You know, you almost are forced into slaughtering Stephen O'Donnell, which is absolutely not what I would want to do. But there's no comparison in terms of skill sets between Stephen O'Donnell and Nathan Patterson. I believe Steve Clark would desperately want to play Stephen O'Donnell if there wasn't such a big gap. If it was at all close. Steve Clark is a guy who believes in, I think, loyalty and who wants to reward people who have delivered for him in the past. So I think if it was even close, O'Donnell would be in the mix and in the team. So it's frustrating, but that's one of the things Patterson's going to have to get used to. There's going to be question marks over him until he's a Rangers regular and people can see a little bit more readily what he's producing when he is on the pitch for Rangers. Because understandably, Scotland fans are not going to be watching some of the games that Rangers are involved with that he's getting minutes in at the moment. Last season, I think they would have seen him because he played against Celtic. He played in the Europa League latter stages when Tavernier was injured. But since then, he's not played perhaps as much or enough. And that's probably contributed to this slightly odd state of affairs where people can't quite see it. But I'll get back to my point after a long rambling answer there, which is this. Scotland are completely imbalanced when Stephen O'Donnell plays. It's anyone who's got any idea about tactics, look at that side and go, right, how do we stop this Scotland team? They've got 2 world-class players on the left, Kieran Tierney and Andrew Robertson. We will overload our left side and completely block them off and allow them to have the ball on the right. Just let them have it over there because we know that they're not going to do any damage to us. Now, the answer to that might be to have O'Donnell tuck in and it become a sort of 4. In a similar way to how Brendan Rodgers' Celtic team were a 4 that became a 3 because Tierney pushed up and Lustig tucked in because he was like O'Donnell, was not an attacking fullback necessarily. But Scotland don't do that. And I thought that was a key part of the Euros. They just had no width of the hand side. So Patterson completely solves that for Scotland in an attacking sense. You cannot shut down the left because if you shut down the left, you've got Nathan Patterson coming at you full pelt down the right. So no wonder they're all of a sudden looking much more slick going forward against teams. They could have scored 5 against Israel. When was the last time we could have said that?
Yeah,
it's because they've got a threat on both sides. We're talking a lot about Scotland here, mate. We should probably move on.
Yeah, I know. Well, but do you know what? It's great. I just think Nathan Patterson is such an exciting player to watch, and obviously because even I think as people watching Rangers, you would want to see more of him. So it's always great to see. I think for being a defender, he is a player that really excites supporters when he's on the team sheet. So just great to see him have another good outing for his country. Yeah. We'll move on then, Jonny. Let's speak about Leon Baligan. Slightly concerning for Rangers. The centre-back area has obviously been not without its issues this season. I think every player's been unavailable at some point. Obviously, Jack Simpson not through injury, but not being in the Europa League squad. Leon Baligan came off and after scoring for Nigeria. Obviously, we don't know the extent of the injury. I think that we'll probably learn that later in the week out of the Nigerian camp. Not great news, Jonny. What do you do on Saturday if Leon Baligan can't play against Hearts?
Well, that's the $1 million question, isn't it? Joshua, actually, you know what? I'm going to throw this back to you as our tactics guru. I'm assuming Goldson's obviously going to play against Hearts.
Yeah.
So it's who plays alongside him. Well, who do you have available?
Yeah, we have Simpson,
exactly.
But then you have the Europa League as well coming up. I mean, the thing is with Simpson is that you've seen it with I've hardly spoken to anyone, supporters, people in the media, family supporting Rangers members who think Jack Simpson is going to have a Rangers future.
I think that's a bit harsh.
Well, I think that's a bit harsh, but I don't see much kind of defence of him. And then you see, it's against Motherwell when that long ball comes over the top. These players are on such a knife edge. They could be playing well for the first 20 minutes.
Yeah.
Then one thing happens. And I also think, I think with Simpson, you don't really see, you've not seen much of him in terms of, because Goldson's the main distributor from the back, but also probably a little bit because of that confidence that naturally will take time to get up in front of the Ibrox crowd. And then the difficulty is, okay, well, Simpson isn't in the Europa League squad, so what do you do then? And I put a tweet out before the who was it? I think it was the Sparta Prague game about the potential of Rangers playing a 3, and it was met with either excitement or complete vitriol. And I think that
that's Twitter though, isn't it?
That's Twitter. But I think that I don't know. Hopefully Baligan. I think he was able to walk off. I think so. I don't think it looks like it might be too long term and a problem. But if you go desperate again, do you go with Bassi? I thought Bassi did okay at points, but I thought in the air.
Yeah.
And I tend to think Tavernier gets such a hard rap for his defense. People still think of him as a 2016, 2015 defender who couldn't tackle Jordan Jones. Tavernier was part of a defence that conceded 13 goals in the league.
You're going to tell me Tavernier at centre back?
I'm not going to tell you, but if you go to that situation again, do you want Calvin Bassey at the centre back? Do you know what I mean?
No.
Say you're playing against Hearts. Do you want Calvin Bassey at centre back after his performance away in Prague? So it's a difficult situation for Rangers, isn't it? But it's also, I would say, more if you did tuck into more of a 3, which obviously is not going to happen at Rangers. We see this all around the world with fullbacks going into centre back because of the attributes they can bring there. But I guess this discussion shows us that if Liam Baligan is injured, it's a difficult situation for Rangers come Saturday and moving forward, isn't it?
Yeah, I think there's a fair situation that could occur where Liam Baligan is kept wrapped up in cotton wool for the game on Saturday and then is available for the Europa League game.
Yeah.
So you play Jack Simpson and Connor Goldson, and you absolutely focus all your resources in getting Baligan back in time for Europa League. And I think that will be what happens. As for Jack Simpson, I totally agree with you. He's not set the header on fire. However, I think it's important to remember he's only been in the door, what we're in October, so January, so 10 months, of which a fair chunk of that there was no games on.
Yeah.
And I see the raw elements of a player in Simpson. It's just that at Rangers you're not getting time anymore because they've reached a level as a club where project players are kind of getting judged from the minute they get in the door because the quality is so high now.
Yeah.
And listen, we've talked about this time and time again on this video, and it's so important because Rangers are back to being Rangers again. And at Rangers, you never got time. You never got patience because the demands of the club and the DNA of the club is about winning and winning immediately. Richard Gough famously said, at Rangers, you're not measured on your last game, you're measured on your last pass. And he's nailed the expectation of the club in that moment. And that's why that quote is on the walls at Murray Park, because it brilliantly captures what being a Ranger is all about. I don't think many fans would want that to change. So as much as, I'm saying to you, that's harsh, Josh, it's the reality. It's the reality of being a Rangers player. And I wouldn't want Jack Simpson to watch this and feel, oh, crikey. The guys in the media are having a major go at me because, as I say, I see what he has there. The skill set's there. But, yeah, this is Rangers. It's not, a Southampton or a Bournemouth or a team like that where there's not that glare. At Rangers, you're always going to be under immediate pressure to perform. And it's up to him to realise that. And that's the kind of club that he's joined, ultimately.
Yeah. And Gerrard was I think it was after the St Johnstone game, Gerrard was spoke glowingly of him. Obviously, with Lundstrom, he asked for the supporters to trust him on that one. I mean, I don't think Simpson's necessarily had lots of bad games. I think it's to play because of the space that's left in behind. Not many defences are going to play as high up as the Rangers defence play. And he's not necessarily in a position where he could contribute well to a game for 40 minutes, but then if something like that long ball happens, then that's, as you say, what sticks in people's minds. I mean, Ewan's there saying, I don't think Simpson's aggressive enough. I mean, people used to level that at Connor Goldson because of the way he tries to also anticipate and read the game. And I don't know. I think that also you do have to sometimes look at it and think he is a little bit of a project player, but the management staff have trusted him to be one of the 4 centre halves, and being one of the 4 centre halves means that when the two in front of you are injured, you kind of go into the business. So yeah, we'll see what happens with Hearts, but I tend to agree with you. I think Baligan's fitness will be prioritised for the upcoming Europa League games, which are of such importance. And yeah, good morning to James, who's in Australia, and Malky, who's in the slightly less sunny Govan, Thomas, and Ewan as well. I hope you're all enjoying the show. Thanks for getting in touch. Let's speak, Jonny, about a couple more international goals before we finish with Niko Katic. Fashion Sakala scored a fantastic goal. I think it was last night, 2 nights ago. I don't know if you've seen it. And Yanis Hadji as well. Both really good individual goals. Touch on the Sakala one first.
Wonder goals. Capital wonder goal. To take the tabloids style. Wonder
goals. Okay.
They were good. I'm not sure.
They were good.
Hadji's was a wonder goal, but I'm not sure.
Sakala's wasn't a wonder goal, but I thought what was so good about Sakala's was, now you've seen this against Motherwell. remember the turn where Steven Gerrard went mental at him because he slammed it wide. But the little shuffle of his feet to create the space, I thought that was a really intelligent move. And he did that again to kind of commit the defender into coming short. The defender actually falls down pretending he's been hit because he's obviously embarrassed that he's been sent out for the milk so easily. I thought it wasn't a wonder goal. It was a really good goal from Sakala. It's the type of goal that you hope he will start to score at Rangers, especially in games where there's more space. Yanis Hadji, excellent. You see the benefit of him being two-footed is Rudiger obviously doesn't know which way he's going to go. And again, Yanis Hadji is still only 22. I think people so often forget that because he assumes such responsibility so young.
Yeah.
But great to see those two getting on the score sheet for the countries, wasn't it? Yeah,
it's quick feet from Hadji. I know he's got quick feet, but that was like Ryan Kent level quick feet. I mean, he was away in a flash. He got a slight bit of fortune with the bounce of the ball, but it was just a brilliant nutmeg, and really did absolutely beat Rudiger all ends up. And Rudiger's top class. He had a bit of a dodgy start to his Chelsea career.
Thankfully, not Celtic.
Yeah. But he had a dodgy start at Chelsea, but he's definitely come back into it under Thomas Tuchel and was key to them winning the Champions League, really, wasn't he? Mm-hmm. He's got that pace that sets him apart. But anyway, it was a great finish by Hadji, a great moment for him, showing that he's becoming more and more important to Romania as a national team. I know they got beaten 2-1 in Germany, but that's there's no shame in that. Gizo required a late goal from Thomas Muller to get them the win. In terms of Sakala, I totally agree with you, mate. That was just a tremendous move, and it's one that we've seen him try at Rangers. Really skillful bit of play, and then he's cut back inside and slammed it home. 2 really good goals. I know I'm taking the mickey about the wonder goal thing because I was obviously saw the headlines and thought, oh, let's have a look at this. Well, it was good, it was good. But it's like when you see a film and everyone's raving about it.
Yeah.
You see a film and everyone's raving about it, and you get to see it and you're like, yeah, it's good, yeah. Mm-hmm. But your expectations are set so high that you're slightly disappointed, maybe. But no, great to see them both getting on the score sheet, and I think that's going to be a help going forward.
Absolutely. Right, let's finally touch on Niko Katic, Jonny, who scored. I think this was his first header since he scored at Celtic Park in 2019.
Yeah,
and he was emotional after it, and I think it shows how difficult these injuries are for footballers. Niko Katic was out for a long time within the pandemic. And obviously, as we all seen his comments in pre-season, was extremely happy and driven to be back. And he said after the match, every game means a lot to me, whether it's a friendly or the Champions League. It's important to score in the third league as well. And that I can progress after day-to-day rehabilitation. Everything was good and I'm satisfied. I think everyone will be delighted for Niko getting his first goal back, getting more games under his belt and looking stronger. And I think the reaction shows how difficult a period it was for him, doesn't it?
Yeah, absolutely. It's very unusual to see a player react like that. And Niko Katic clearly was desperate to get back and resume his career at Rangers. Everything that he said in the media has been about being the best version of himself, which is the mantra that you hear a lot coming out of Ibrox, coming specifically out of Auchenhowie. And that this is a guy that's just desperate to do anything he can to make it at the top level. And to see him, so upset and so emotional at that goal just shows you how desperate he is. Now, I think it's maybe been a bit of a mistake in retrospect to let him go, to be quite honest. I know he's getting games. I know that that's important for him. But it would be great to have Niko Katic right at this moment. I know it probably wouldn't have been fair to him, and I know why Steven Gerrard's done it. And I can't really probably argue that there's serious intellectual reasons why they would do that. But yeah, can you imagine if Niko Katic was there, you would not be worrying about this situation at the moment, would you?
No.
So it's one of those ones where you wonder if maybe Rangers will have a look at this season so far and think, we perhaps need 5 centre-backs. Now, listen, that might not be Niko Katic. That might be we need to get someone in on loan in January because, pardon me, it's an imperfect situation to have Niko Katic come back in and maybe sit on the bench quite a lot and only get 5 or 6 games. But I think it might be something Rangers look at given Calvin Bassey's performance in Europa League. Maybe we're being too harsh on Bassey, mate. Maybe he needs more time to just get used to that. But again, it was the aerial situation. He just didn't look comfortable with balls into the box, did he? And that's that's the meat and drink of a player in Scottish football. So
Yeah.
I think that's why we'd be looking at that and saying, not so sure.
Absolutely. Great. Okay, we'll leave it there for today, Jonny. Remember, folks, if you're watching on YouTube, to subscribe and press the notification bell, and subscribe to the Rangers Review for just £1 a month, less than a paper a day, and you've got top quality Rangers writing and more coming to you every single day for just £1 a month. We'll be back tomorrow, continuing to get you through the international break until Rangers are back in action on Saturday. Until then, enjoy the rest of your Monday.